All right, appreciate that. Well, first of all, before we talk about NC State, I would want to say happy birthday to my mom. Today is her 75th birthday, so happy birthday to Miss Carol, and she's somewhere with Kath now having lunch, I guess, but I want to say happy birthday to my sweet mom, and she's amazing. She's the last one living in her family, so she's an amazing lady. And then also want to offer up my prayers for the Lentz family. I know Zach and Michelle are really in a tough time right now, so just prayers with them, and just ask everybody to keep them in your prayers. All right, NC State. First of all, this is a place that's always been a challenge. It's never easy to go up there. You look at our games against these guys. 56-41, 24-17, 38-31. Last year we really played well here at home, but the last couple of years up there it's been a grind. I think it was a punt return 2 years ago was the difference in the game. So they do a great job up there. Dave is a great coach, a well-coached team. This is a team this year that's a little different than the past few years in that they've had a lot of injuries. They've got some young guys. But I'm going to tell you, they're incredibly well coached. They're tough. They're physical. And they give their guys a chance to be successful. They probably scheme as good as anybody that we play year in and year out. And so really a tough task to play there. I think their crowd, they show up. Doesn't matter what. It's one of the things I've always had respect for NC State and their fans because they show up regardless of whether they're 4-4 or 8-0, they show up and they do a good job. So tough environment to go play in. Offensively, they've had some transition at quarterback. Went with the young freshman last week. Assume he'll be the guy, but Hockman has played a lot as well, and they'll also do some wildcat stuff, from time to time. But their strength of their offense is their offensive line. I think those guys are very well coached. They play very physical, and then schematically what they do with all their shifts and motions and trying to create tips on what you're doing defensively and create mismatches and opportunistic plays with all their screens. And they're a big stretch team, so fitting the run, backside. Pursuit is critical against these guys, but we've got to do a great job of recognition and lining up. They got us on a double move last year, and they got a lot of tricks. They call them. They don't just practice them. They call them. So a lot of discipline in playing these guys, and then they're eighth in the country in punt return, 15.5. So they've got some dudes that can do something with the ball and got some young guys at wide out, but a team that I think is going to continue to improve. But again, they have had some injuries, especially on the defensive side. But looking at them, they're physical. They're a little bit of a challenge schematically because they're a little unorthodox in what they do, and so you've got to do a great job of communicating and picking up their pressures and IDing properly. Because they're going to pressure. They don't sit back. They've had a lot of injuries in the secondary, but they don't change what they do. They're going to attack you. They're going to challenge you, and they're going to play man coverage. They're primarily a single high team, bring pressure almost 50% of the time. So they force you to have to make plays. They force you to have to do a great job in protection. We did not run the ball well on these guys last year. We had a few plays, but we were not efficient. I think we were about 2.9 a carry. We did throw the ball well, but we didn't run the ball very well. And so that's an area that we need to try to improve in this game. But they're good up front. 129-92. These are good football players. They got good experience, and they've settled in the secondary. Had some really tough losses earlier with some really good players, especially at corner. So they've had to move some guys around. But for us going up there, it's about execution. We're excited to be 9-0, and we're trying to get that 10th win. That would be a huge accomplishment for our program. The consistency that we've been able to have, and and just continue to stay, in the hunt for this division. That's what we're trying to do is, win our division. We know that when you do that, little things lead to bigger things. So the division trophy is not very big. But if you win that one, you get a chance to win a bigger one. And so we're just trying to stay locked in on our journey and what we got to do to stay on track. With that, I'll take your questions.
Coach, is this one of the weirder seasons you can recall as far as just having to think about different quarterbacks for, it seems like every other week you don't know who the quarterback's going to be for injuries or performance or whatever reason?
Yeah, it's been a little unique that way. Obviously, Florida State was one of those teams that we were trying to figure it out, and same thing at Louisville, and multiple guys coming in, but the BC quarterback got hurt. I think he's a great player, and I think Adazio and them don't get enough credit for what they've been able to do without that kid. He's a good football player, man, and but they've still found a way to win games. I think they've probably done as good a job as anybody in finding a way to win. But same thing this week. He started out with the one kid early, and then they went to Hockman, and then last week went with the Leary kid. But they do what they do. That the one positive is they're not very different. They're going to call their offense. They're going to run the stretch. They're going to double move you and take shots and play action you and get in some exotic type of stuff. But regardless of who's at quarterback, but they're giving them a chance. It's a lot of quick game. Again, a lot of double moves, a lot of max protection, a lot of sprint out, a lot of pocket moving. Trying to help those guys because they're young at running back too. They got hurt, so they got young guys back there, and so haven't been just a huge drop back type team, asking backs to doing a lot of protection and things like that. But they've thrown the ball down the field a lot, but it's mostly been shots, like I said, some max protection, some double move type stuff where they can get the ball off.
Dabo, what's Travis? Has there been any change in what he's done the last month in order to accomplish what he's done the last month? In the sense of his work ethic?
Yeah, he's just been who he is. I mean, he's had a great year. He had one bad game. He played terrible at North Carolina game, but he wasn't terrible. I don't even know what game. What game was that? North Carolina. Was that our fifth game or so? Fifth game. He played well the first four. I mean, it's not like he played bad. He just had a bad day, but he just has responded and got back to being Travis Etienne and playing at a high level. We've gotten him involved in the passing game. I think he's worked really hard on that and just kind of refocused from that one game. I think the open date was good for him, and he's been amazing. I mean, it's really amazing what that guy's been able to do. I mean, we've had some unbelievable backs around here, and to see what he's done is pretty special.
A lot of those records that he's chasing were set in 4 years.
Yeah.
He's doing it in
Yeah.
2+.
2 years and 9 games.
Yeah.
Kind of came in as a backup as a freshman, and by the end of the year he'd kind of worked his way up there to second team, and then won the job the next year, and then now here he is. I mean, but that just speaks to his explosiveness. Career record of 80-plus yard plays, career record or school record of 200-plus yard rushing games. I mean, he's just so explosive. It's just amazing. And as his body has developed, and he's still developing. I mean, his best football is still in front of him. But super proud of him. He's just become a very smart player, and he's become more of an all-around player. He's just blue collar, likes to be coached. Never says a word, never complains about anything. He just shows up and goes to work every single day, and he's become a leader for us this year.
Dabo, you mentioned earlier this week about exceeding the 100 mark of players in games over the season a couple times. Have you ever been around a program other than yours that has gotten so much playing time out of their roster?
No. Just because I think coaches they get in the comfort zone and everybody's paranoid, and put a guy in there, and I don't think everybody works hard enough on it to get other guys ready and to get guys in the game. But it's, again, I just think it's important. I know what a big deal it is. I remember my first game to play in my redshirt freshman year, I finally got, and back then you didn't dress. I mean, I dress everybody home games, and you don't have to do that. But I want everybody to be a part of it, but when I was coming up, you didn't do that. I mean, we had 150 on the team, and you didn't dress. You sat in the stands, and you work all week, and you sat in the stands. So I remember the first time I got to dress my redshirt freshman year against Southern Miss, I was like, I thought I had won the lottery. I mean, I couldn't wait to tell everybody, I'm dressing, and then I got to get in right at the end of the game. Tommy calls me over there, and he put me in on a run play, and I got smashed from behind by Martin Houston, fullback. But I was so excited I got in the game. And that was a goal early on. I just wanted to dress. I wanted to get in the game. And we blew them out. We'd killed them. But that was a big deal. That was a big deal. It was awesome, to get your name called out, and things like that. And then I kind of set my sights higher. And then the next year, ended up making the rotation and lettering and moved to second team, and the rest is history. But it was a big deal, and I've always cared about that. Those reps are huge for those guys to get in there and have an opportunity to play and get a feel for it, and whether it's your scholarship guys or your walk-on guys. But I think that keeps everybody engaged too. Everybody's accountable. I told them at the half last week, hey, we're fixing to sub some guys this half, and some of y'all are going to get exposed. Because if you're not preparing every week, just like everybody else, then your opportunity is going to pass you by. But some of you's going to be ready, and some of you are going to catch our eye in the second half. And so it's just a great way to encourage those guys, and again, keep them engaged. And you don't really know if you're ever going to get a chance. So when you do get an opportunity in some of those games, I just think it's great. It's great for everybody. And the best thing is the selflessness of our team. Our guys are excited for their teammates because they know how hard they work, and they get really excited to see those guys get in there and play. So it's pretty cool. And then, now used to we didn't have the red shirts available, so that's changed it a little bit. So you could probably only play, maybe 90 or 90-something. But now you've got a bigger pool of guys that you can get in for 4 games. So that's made it even better. I mean, to be able to see Levante Bentley get out there and play and fly around and play some special teams, and it's huge.
What about as far as development? As far
yeah.
as development, you're getting to see those guys play, those just scholarship guys specifically.
It's huge. I mean, it's one of the greatest things ever done by the NCAA. To be able to, and then sometimes you come into the season, and we had a couple guys that we really intended to play, but kind of as things shaped up, they were like, well, you know what, we may be able to hold this guy. So we've been strategic on, all right, this guy's got 1 game left, this guy's got 2 games left. So we've been pretty strategic with a few of those guys, and then some other guys that we know, Rich, hey, just play them whenever. And so it's something you have to talk about. You used to didn't have to do that. So we have to really have a plan going into each game on what the plan is, the situation for each player is.
Forget the final score. Clemson's played up there on Halloween. There's been laptops. There's been coaches doing things, overtime games. Seems like something crazy is always happening.
Towel stealing.
What is it about this rivalry? And is it one of the more underrated,
I just think it's the Textile Bowl, I mean, it just goes way back. And we forget about that. There's a trophy getting handed out after this game. It's somewhere around here. I guess we'll load it up and take it up there. I mean, I don't know. I don't really. It's out of my lane, but I assume Abe or somebody will grab the trophy and bring it. But there's a trophy on the line, just like Boston College. There's a trophy on the line in that game, and I think that's kind of cool. But I think just the history. NC State's been really good too, man. They've had some. Goodness gracious, they've had some players. They've had a bunch of really good players over these last several years. And I think Dave and them do a great job. I mean, they're really, truly a very well-coached team. And play tough, play physical. Again, this is just a team that's dangerous because they're young and a little unpredictable. So you just don't know. So for us, we got to be locked in and we got to play well. And And then it's a tough place to play. They do a great job up there. A great job. It drives me going, it's another whoop back first down. That guy comes over there and screams that out, and I'm like, oh my God, if they get another first down, don't give them a first down, because they just, the crowd does a good job. It's one of the better venues, I think, to go play in.
Schematically, who do they remind you of what you've played so far this season?
Schematically, they're a little bit of everything. They're a little bit of combination because they'll get it. They'll have a few option principles, even though they're not really running their quarterbacks. But they do a little bit of everything. They're multiple personnel. They'll get in 10, they'll get in 11, they'll get in 12. They're not as tight end oriented as they've been in the past. But they're pretty much a spread team, like all the other spread teams. That they probably run a little more outside zone than some of the teams. True stretch, true stretch type of scheme, but maybe a little more max protection than some of the other teams. But similar to several of the teams that we've played. I don't know specifically who'd be the most similar.
Dabo, I'm guessing